and we went to like this neighbor's house that turned into like a bar. And then all of a sudden there was a priest in the bar, and I told the priest, I was like, what do you think about what do you think about dreams being like pathways to higher dimensions of space and time? And then all of a sudden everyone just stopped and looked at me like Inception.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I broke some type of dream rule. So I'm like, I'm getting the hell out of here, and I ran.
Hello, everyone. This is Jose and Steele with Out of the Box Podcast. Welcome, everyone. If this is your first time watching this podcast, we talk about outside of box ideas, anything ranging from spirituality all the way to human psychology, all sorts of topics, movies,
Crazy stuff.
crazy stuff. Yeah. So if that sounds like something that you would like to listen to more, feel free to subscribe to our channel so that you can continue to receive our awesome information. So we'll get started. Today we have an awesome topic, and it's going to be nightmares. So we're going to talk about our nightmares and everything that all those dreams that have kept us up at night. And maybe even get a little bit into the subconscious, maybe if we do have some time, but why we actually dream nightmares. So, yeah. Do you want to start it off, Stu?
Yeah, sure. I guess I could start with like, what is a nightmare, right? Like a nightmare is like something that I think everyone can agree is something that scares the hell out of you when you're in a nightmare. And then when you wake up, depending on how severe it was, you're still scared, or you're just like, oh, okay, that was just a weird dream. Have you ever had a dream like that? Have you ever had like a dream or a nightmare that where you're just like, it woke you up and you're just like shaking. And you're like, man, I don't even want to go back to sleep after that. Have you ever had that before?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think mainly it happened when I was younger. That I remember having like really bad dreams, like really scary dreams. And I think that's when the mind just wanders, right? Like you see things in movies, you see things in different places, but your mind just wanders into the world. And basically, you begin to try to figure out the loopholes or the gray areas in life. And I think they all play out in your dreams, right? Like you try to make sense of things in your dreams. And so I've definitely had, experiences where I haven't been able to wake up or not been able to wake up. And then when I wake up, I don't want to go back to sleep for sure.
What happened?
Well, one of them, it's interesting. It's not much of a nightmare, I would say. It was kind of like a weird experience, but it was very uncomfortable. And so I remember there was this dream that I had, and I was walking into a track field, right? It was a huge track field.
Oh, that's weird.
And it was covered just like in like red dust, like red sand almost. But you could see the lines of the track were in white. And what I had to do, it's sometimes like in the dream, that you have to do something. And so what I had to do was pick up a dummy, right? That was on the side of the track and carry it around the track, right?
So weird.
So I went to pick up this dummy, and I put it on my back, and I started walking. But all of a sudden, the dummy started pissing on me.
Oh, dang.
But at the moment, I didn't even think of it like as funny. I was like, why is this happening? Like, and he kept on pissing, right? And so I just kept on doing laps and laps around it. And it was almost like I felt stuck inside this dream and an uncomfortable reality. And so when I woke up, I was just like sweaty and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like, what did this mean? Like, why did this even happen?
Yeah.
And I remember when I was walking, I was dressed as one of the characters from Naruto. I don't know if you know that guy with the black or black head, or like he had green green, but his haircut is like a coconut almost. I can't half of a coconut.
It sounds very familiar.
So I don't know why, but that's the haircut that I had, or in that dream, right? And so yeah, that was one of the weird ones.
Dude,
how about you?
Weird. Yeah, I'm scrolling through some right now because the audience doesn't know this yet, but I have a dream journal, and I've been keeping this dream journal for, well, I don't know. I mean, all I know is I've been keeping it since middle school. So like you can imagine that's like over like almost 2 decades of dreams by now. And because I like to lucid dream, and we'll get into that whole other podcast, but yeah, the more you write down your dreams, the more you remember them, and then you can start lucid dreaming. But nightmares, dude, I mean, if we can go back and forth on this too, just to like keep our stories going. But I guess the first one I could start out with was like more psychologically scary. So basically, I was like in the living room downstairs, right, with my mom. It was like dark. It was like nighttime outside and everything. And I was on the couch as usual. She was in her recliner over here. And I heard this scratching like coming from upstairs, because I live in a really old house. And so you can kind of picture that scene where it's like really kind of dark and creepy and old looking and stuff. And I hear this weird scratching, like it's coming out of nowhere, like from upstairs. And at that time I had a dog that lived in the house, like a rat terrier. And the creepiest thing is my mom did not, she just kept talking to me, having a normal conversation, as if the scratching wasn't happening at all. Like she couldn't hear it. And then my dog in real life, she would be like barking at it, right? But she like didn't hear it either. And so like that was the creepy thing about the dream, is like I was the only one in the dream hearing that scratching, and everyone else it was like I was going crazy or something. I remember waking up from that and just feeling kind of like, oh, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it's sometimes like a small thing that's out of normal.
Yeah.
And it could just be one thing, like one little thing that's out of normal, and it just makes that whole dream
creepy.
Yeah.
Like the mannequin, dude, that's so creepy. Like a mannequin, but it's somehow like alive, even though it could not be a living being.
Yeah, it was not a living thing.
But it was still able to
was.
That's what makes it creepy. The fact that it was able to do a living thing, like urinating on you, like it makes no sense. So it's like creepy.
Yeah.
Any other really creepy dreams? Yeah.
I think there was one that I've been chased by tarantulas.
Like giant ones?
Yeah, giant ones. Oh, yeah. That was scary. But there was one, and this one I remember a little bit more because it went into different phases of the dream. And so first I started off and I was at a church event, and then I walk into the church and there was a bunch of bats that were flying. But then I turned into a ninja and I started trying to like fight the bats.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, like this like flashing ninja star, I guess you could call it, passed by the side of my face. And all of a sudden, I went into a different room, and there was this guy wearing a pink shirt. I remember that, I think from the look of it, something told me that he was gay, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't say that verbally, and so I kept on like walking over, and then somebody came with a mattress, and so it just things that didn't make sense. Like somebody came with a mattress, and then weird. It's just like it's like so many weird things happening that overwhelm you. And it was just like, why is this happening? Right? Like, why are these random things just happening? And I think that's what made it frustrating. I think to a certain degree, nightmares are things that can sometimes be frustrating in life, like that you don't understand, right? It doesn't even have to be scary in itself.
Yeah,
it just is like frustration in itself can become a nightmare.
Maybe that's where some of it comes from. Speaking of spiders, your spiders in the dream. One time I had a dream like that where there were a whole bunch of like I guess like you could say dog-sized spiders in like an arena, like an underground arena, like a fight club kind of thing. And there's like a huge audience around it, and they're all like have their bets with their money, and they're like cheering, like, "No, come on, spider, win!" And the two giant spiders are like fighting each other, like in like a dog fight. That was actually kind of more funny though. But dude, I've had some like really psychologically like disturbing dreams where I was like, "What the hell is wrong with me? Why did I even have this dream?" So one of them, like I tend to have this a lot. I have a lot of reoccurring dreams where I'm back in high school again, even though I've been in college for like the past 7 or so years. I just, for some reason, my mind transports me back into high school. And then the funny thing is, like, in dreams, like you were saying, like you just knew he was gay or whatever. Like you just know certain things in dreams. Like when I was in high school in the dream, I knew that I was going to high school to get more college credits because I was still in college. Even though it makes no sense, but like, why would I go back to high school to get college credits when I'm already in college,
Yeah.
But anyways, I was coming from high school driving because there's a gas station next to my high school. Drove over there, and there's this guy on the ground in the parking lot, and it's like his leg got run over because his leg is like smashed. And then it's like really graphic, but it's kind of weird too because there's not a lot of blood. It's kind of like watery, reddish kind of like stuff around it, and it's kind of like tissue, almost like an old 80s horror movie special effects cheap kind of looking thing. And maybe that's where my mind got it from. But it was like smashed, and the bones were just pieces and fragments. And there's like this guy hunched over next to him trying to help him out. And the guy was like in so much pain, like he couldn't even scream. Like that's how his mouth was just open. Like he was just like in shock. Like I remember I got out of, like, I don't even own a truck in real life, but I got out of my truck in the dream, went inside past that, and I was like, man, this is just so. I still went in the gas station, got something, and then, oh, dude, it was just so. It's just like for some reason that just gets to me. I don't know. That was a really. That was a. Have you ever had any like disturbing dreams like that?
Maybe not. I can't remember like if there was something like really disturbing, like something like that happening. I guess there was one time when I think it's mainly been overwhelming things that have become nightmares. I think I was gonna become. I was running for president,
Oh, yeah.
and people kept asking questions and questions and questions and questions, and there was this point where I was so overwhelmed by these questions that, I didn't know how to go about, living. It just, yeah, I felt stuck, and it was like a weird stuck that, you feel like your world is about to end.
Yeah.
And it just happened in a lapse of like, I don't know how many seconds, but it just felt like that overwhelming wave of things from people just like asking questions
all
and,
at once,
and all that.
like, that sounds intense.
Yeah.
Like kind of like stressed out almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stressful. I've had a lot of those too, like where a lot of them, like sometimes I'm back in high school, like I don't know why I have that so much. I always have these reoccurring dreams. It's usually in the summer where I'm back in high school, and somehow I just know it in the dream that I accidentally forgot to go to this class. Like one time I was like, I forgot to go to history class and I missed the exam, and now I'm gonna have a 0 for the exam, and now my grade's gonna be low and I'm not gonna be able to fix it. Or I have my school schedule and the numbers next to the names of the classes don't make any sense, and I can't find the room number, or they change, they keep changing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Or it's always like I'm late, I miss an exam, or I'm falling behind on assignments, and I feel hopeless in the dream. I'm like, oh, I'm never going to catch up. I'm never going to be able to get my grade up. And maybe that's just a lot of my day-to-day anxiety about school just leaking into my dreams. Have you ever had dreams like that where you're like kind of like based on like real life stress almost?
Yeah. Like, I think sometimes even I've had nightmares like that before actual exams and things of that sort, that in my mind, I'm like trying to remember, like, don't forget that you have to do this, or don't forget that you need to show up early to the exam. And in the dream, I'm, struggling to try to meet the deadline or meet the time, but something just comes in my way, or I forget. And, I wake up and I check the time, or I do something like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, everything's fine, like everything was good.
It's like,
but in the dream, it feels so hopeless. It feels like it's over,
one
and
time, one time I was in Treadway Hall. Remember we used to have those dorms in Treadway Hall, how they're all small and stuff.
yeah.
For the audience, me and Jose used to live like right next to each other in Treadway Hall, because it was like a more affordable, like, it's dorm hall. So like the rooms are like half this, like really small basically. And I
Yeah.
remember one time in a dream, I was in my dorm, and you were like in your dorm. I like sensed it in the dream or whatever. And there's just papers all over my floor and everywhere. And I was like, man, I still have all this stuff I gotta do. Now I gotta worry about this mess. Yeah.
Yeah. I and like you said, maybe it is stuff from our daily life that leaks in, and maybe it's a like a survival mechanism that is trying to warn us. But there was one time when, and it was when I was younger. I guess I was scared of being lost, and so I remember being in Walmart, and which is like a grocery store, and I was just walking, and then all of a sudden I lost where my mom was at, right? And so I was super scared, and I went to a police officer that I had seen at the store, and I told the police officer, like, hey, like, I'm lost, I can't find my mom. And they went to the radio, and then they, through the store, they called it. They were like, hey, we have a little kid, he's lost his mother, and this and that. And I just remember like nobody showing up, and it felt like that frustration of like,
hopeless,
oh my gosh, like I'm lost,
anxiety.
like who's gonna take care of me, like how am I gonna live? And I think that freaked me out when I was little.
Dude, that would scare me, man. I think I might have had a similar dream. Like, I want to say it, but I'm not sure. But that'd be terrifying. That's like a perfect example of like a real life fear, especially as a child. Dude,
Yeah.
I had this one dream to where I was so like I was like going in this, I guess it was like a house or something, but then the house it was like a mansion that led to a big room that was like a nursing home almost, with a hospital bed in the middle of the room. And one of my professors from St. Mary's was in the hospital bed. And it was disturbing. It was disturbing in a sense that I felt like I couldn't do anything to fix it, because his skin was like falling apart and like rotting away, because he had like wide bandages on his arms and like kind of like something on his neck and stuff, and IV and all that. And the closer I got, the more I noticed like how his skin, like right here, was missing. It's like a green. And when I say rotting away, I mean like green, kind of like blue, dark colors. And then like his eye, like the whole eyelid was like gone, and his eye was like bulging out kind of, and it was like all like it looked like it was infected. And then he like started kind of like sobbing and then crying, and he was saying like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. And like I could tell he was like upset, and that upset me, because I was like, I did, like, what can I do, how can I fix that? I felt like for some reason in the dream I felt so guilty and like hopeless, I guess, like there's nothing I can do. I've had a lot of hospital dreams too, like just weird surgeries. Like when I drank this cup of like a salty liquid and I fell asleep in the dream, and then woke up from the surgery in the dream. And like one was all these like like things inside me. And then probably one of the most disturbing dreams I've ever had, and I don't know if I've told you about this one yet, was it was so weird. So I was like in like a public bathroom, and it was like really old and run down. And there are all these like chains on the walls connected to people around their neck, but the people had no skin, and they were still alive somehow. It was like it was like a perfect representation of the human anatomy. I like to read the classic intestines on the front, the muscles groups and all that. And they weren't screaming in pain. They were just like swaying back and forth like this, as if they were in so much pain. Like it felt like as if they're in so much pain, they just couldn't even do anything but this. Like they were like just gone mentally. And it felt like I was in hell or something, because there were like torture tools in the middle. That one just got to me. Oh yeah, dude. Remember that one dream I told you?
That's
Where I
intense.
was, where I was at St. Mary's University and I was at the clock tower. And then also there was like all of a sudden a destroyed statue of like a saint broken into
Mm,
pieces in the middle of it. And then all of a
yeah.
sudden I went with one of my friends to like the bookstore and then came back and then there was like these statues of like angels, like black statues or like bronze or whatever. And then when I got closer with a friend, I realized there were statues of Lucifer and his followers. That one disturbed me, man. That was uh,
That's intense, bro. Yeah, those can be crazy.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think I'm trying to recall to see if maybe there was any like spiritual dreams that turn
yeah.
into nightmares or anything like that. Because I know you told me that you had some, um, but I'm trying to think. I don't think I don't think I would ever want to see like Lucifer in a dream,
Yeah, dude,
like
that
the
freaks me
devil.
out. It's happened a couple of times in my dreams, and it deeply disturbs me every time. I don't know because it makes
Yeah.
me wonder, like, why am I having a dream about this?
And you know what? Like I've noticed that whenever I'm not praying that much or haven't been too close to my in my faith and in God, I start having nightmares.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and I correlated really well because sometimes I would just like forget or wouldn't pray, and then all of a sudden like I wouldn't be able to sleep because I had like a consistent nightmare.
Oh,
And so that's something that's happened before. Like, and so um it's very disturbing for sure. And I'm trying to recall, but at the moment, like nothing comes to mind that I can pinpoint for sure.
mm.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
remember you telling me about that dream with
yeah. That
where the
one's
broken state
the
saint.
statues. To me, it was just such a weird dream because St. Mary's University is a Catholic school, so like it was just the craziest of places to see something like that. And you could even dive into like what it symbolically means, like what was my mindset at the time. Like it's like a broken statue of a saint. Okay, well that means broken faith, kind of. And then like the statues of Lucifer and his angels. I mean, it's just it's weird. Like
Yeah,
it was more of like why did I have this dream that disturbed me?
yeah. You could even say I don't know what saint specifically it was,
Yeah, I can't
uh,
remember.
but but you could even say that you know like when you lose your faith, your broken faith, that's when Lucifer has the most opportunity to get to you, right?
Yeah. Like have you what about like dream? Because I've had plenty of dreams to where I felt like pain, like physical pain. Have you ever had that before?
You know what? I actually have. Yeah, and and it's something that I remember having happened even though I can't pinpoint a specific moment,
Uh,
but but it's happened before or where in the dream I'm about to go to the restroom and then I go to the restroom in real life like or things like
I've had
that
that
like
before.
that
Yeah.
in the dream are happening but then happen to me in real life. um but what
Uh,
about you? Have you had any like physical pain
yeah,
from
like one time I was like shot in a dream, and the strange thing is I didn't feel physical pain, but I know I've had dreams where I did feel pain. Like, and you'd think that getting shot I would feel pain in the dream, but for some reason of all dreams, the ones that I did feel pain in where I was like walking next to my parents' bed, and there was like a whole bunch of yellow jackets on the ground on the like carpet, and I could feel it stinging the bottom of my foot, and I looked and I was like, oh, it's a whole bunch of yellow jackets that are stinging me. Even though they're like dead, they're still stinging me. And I actually felt the stinging sensation. I also had like a lucid dream where I was barefoot and I was walking across the country to my neighbor's house in the dream, and I could feel the sticker burrs like sticking in my feet. I was like, oh, it's painful, you know.
Mm,
I've also had scary lucid dreams too, like that one I told you about where you were in it, and we went to like this neighbor's house that turned into like a bar, and then all of a sudden there's a priest in the bar, and I told the
mm,
priest, I was like, what do you think about what do you think about dreams being hired like pathways to higher dimensions of space and time. And then all of a sudden everyone just stopped and looked at me like Inception.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I broke some type of dream rule. So I'm like, I'm getting the hell out of here. And I ran and then woke up. But
And you said they were following you or something like that, right?
it felt like they were. Like the waiter lady in the dream was like mad at me for saying that. And I was running because I was afraid they were going to come after me. And this little girl's voice kept echoing in my brain. I was like, that was weird. There's also a dream where I knew I was dreaming. I was in a lucid dream in this landscape. And I wanted to wake up because I knew I had to get up to go to class in the morning, but I couldn't wake myself up. And that was in itself scary.
Yeah.
But
frustration comes in.
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
My final question for you is, wrapping this up, what do you think makes a nightmare scary? You know?
I think we pinpoint different things: frustration, overwhelmingness. I think stress of life too. But I think overall these things just pinpoint to that it could potentially be real. Like it could potentially be something that in fact, causes some harm to you in real life. And I think that's essentially what makes it scary, because it would mean that if it was real, it would change your reality as it is.
Right. Yeah, like with the school stuff. The last thing is, like, why do you think we have nightmares? Sigmund Freud's theory was that we have dreams as wish fulfillments of things that we can't experience in real life. Like if you have a dream about being with the girl you want to be with, or a dream about being in a fancy house, or going on an adventure, or having a fun, relaxing, or an action-packed adventure, But people criticize Freud for that because they said that it doesn't explain why we have nightmares, because obviously nightmares are not, there's no satisfaction or wish fulfillment at all. Like no one wants to have a nightmare. But what do you think? Why do you think we have nightmares?
I think sometimes our subconscious is trying to warn us of something. And the only way that sometimes we react to those things is through fear. And so I think that might be an aspect to it. And also maybe it's to like our bodies trying to identify certain harmful things that in fact could harm us in life. And so it's almost like a survival mechanism that it's telling the body that, hey, like, watch out for this. Like, it's a way for our body to speak to us directly.
Yeah.
Or sometimes where our fears escape, right? It could be like how we talked about different fears. Like it could also be things that we ourselves have not come to peace with.
That could be it too, maybe because when we sleep, the mind learns and it organizes information. Maybe it's like that's how the stresses of our daily lives come in symbolic form in our dreams, and it's just like our brain's way of resolving the unresolved issues from our life.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for listening in again. This was the Outside of the Box podcast. If you really like this show, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you thought of this, and maybe also share a nightmare that happened to you. We'd love to hear about it. Yeah, type it down below on the comment section, and also turn on the bell sign so that way you are notified whenever we put up a new video. Until next time, we will see you soon.